With lesson 7-9, we continue to add and subtract, continue to add positive and negative numbers. And the way we're doing it to make it simpler is that we're using these little cards, these little symbols that we're going to draw out like this to help us understand what it really means to add or subtract. Sorry, I keep saying subtract, but in reality, when you add a negative number to a positive number, you're really subtracting. That's why I keep saying that. Again, I'll repeat that. When you add a negative number to a positive number, you're subtracting the negative number from the positive number. And I'll show you that here in the example. For example, you have a -3 number which is being added to a +6. But in reality, if you look here, that -3 is going to take away that +3, which leaves you with just 3. That's called balancing it out, to balance it out. Let's do the example. Example 1. You have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? You have 5 positive symbols, right? And then you also have 5, we'll call them cards, not symbol. And you also have 5 negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 negative cards. They each cancel each other out. That cancels out, that cancels out, that cancels out, that cancels out, and that cancels out. So what are you left with? Nothing. So your balance would be 0. Okay, let's try this one. You have +5 and -7. What are you going to be left with? Well, because the negative is a bigger number, you know it's going to be a negative number. And then what's the difference between 5 and 7? 2. There it is. Okay, go ahead and try the rest of them. The rest of the questions are pretty much the same. A lot of you will be able to do this without using this model over here, without having to do this, but it does help. So don't be shy to use it and show your work. A lot of you might just be able to do it like this. Just find the difference between the two numbers and put the symbol to the number that's bigger. Okay, in the next page, page 238, it might look a little confusing because now they're giving us these illustrations, these drawings. Do not be intimidated by them. They're actually there to make it more friendly for you, a little bit easier for you, and so that you can compare a lot easier. Number 1, let me pick a good color here. Okay, number 1, we have 13 positives. And we have 5 negatives. Okay? Well, what's the difference between these two numbers? It's 8, right? The difference means how many numbers are in between them. The difference. There's 8 of them, right? And which one has more? Does the positive have more? Or does the negative have more? Well, the positive, right? So it's 8 positive. Or you can just simply write 8. Remember, if you don't put a sign on it, we assume it's positive. Let's look at the next one over here, number 2. It's the same numbers. I don't think that was done by accident because the second part is going to show you something interesting. So we know already that it's 8. Or remember, the other way to do it is to just take these 5 and take out 5 from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then count the rest. It's 8. Okay? Now look what it says at the bottom. If 4 negative card counters are subtracted means taken away. You take them away. They're taken away. Okay? They're subtracted from the container. What is the new balance? So if I could erase these, I don't know if I can, but if I could, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take 4 of them away. These 4 are taken away. What's our new balance? Well, that means this one is only going to take one positive one out. Remember, for every negative, I have to take out one positive. So what's my new balance if I'm only taking away one positive card? My new balance would be 12, correct? How would I show that in the number model? Well, we started off with 8, right? The number model would look like this. We take the 8 that we have originally, and we've taken 4 of those negative away, right? So it brought us up to 12. Well, if I had to write the story of what happened, I would write first the 8, and then I would write minus, because we're subtracting. What are we subtracting? 4 negatives. Negative 4. Because we took those negative 4 away, we have more positives. So now we have 12. It looks confusing, doesn't it? Because it says minus minus. What my teacher taught me when I was a little kid was, if you ever see a negative sign, then a parenthesis, and another negative sign, the parentheses is telling you that you must multiply this area times this area. And you'll learn, I think we've learned this already. I haven't done it with you this year yet, but when you learn multiplication in 4th grade, you should have learned that when you multiply a negative times a negative, it becomes a positive. So that's the way I was taught as a kid. I'm not trying to confuse you now, but if that helps you, whenever you see a negative, parentheses, negative, you're multiplying these two symbols together to change it into a positive. Now you're not multiplying this number times this number. I'm just saying the symbols will cancel each other out to make each other a positive. If that helps, use it. If it doesn't help, then just use this number model that we just did. Let's look at number 2. If 4 positive card counters are added to the container, what is the new balance? Well, I would also say 12. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you add 4 to 8, and it's all adding, it's all positive, you're just going up in number. So it should be 8, the original 8 that we have up here, plus 4 equals 12. And that's it. Pretty simple. Question 3 and 4 are going to be similar. Just continue to follow the story. Solve what you have to do first, the box right here. Solve that number, and then work off that number in the story. And do it as I did. Record the number that you were given first, and then follow the semantics. Follow the instructions. Subtract, you subtract. Okay? And you subtract or add whatever number they're telling you to add or subtract. For page 240, subtraction problems, it asks us to rewrite each subtraction problem as an addition problem, then solve it. Well, this is quite easy. The first example is given to us. All they've done is they know that when you look at this, you know that this 45 is actually a negative 45 because it's being subtracted from the 100. It's taking away 45, so that's negative. So what you do is you surround it with a parentheses, and because you have to turn it into an addition problem, you put your addition mark there, and you know that 100 plus negative 45, or you could say 100 minus 45, is 55. Okay, well, let's look at the next one. Negative 100 minus negative 45. Negative 100, okay, plus, because we have to change it into addition, you can't have a symbol after another symbol. So, oh my goodness, that's the ugliest addition, or the plus sign, ugliest plus sign I've ever drawn. Let me try that again. So we add our plus sign. Okay, much better. So negative 100 plus negative 45. We have to add our little bracket there. Negative 45. There we go. Okay. And what would our answer be? Well, we're really adding two negative numbers. We're going to go up to 145. Negative 145. Okay, the next one seems a little tricky. How am I going to add negative and a negative? Remember what I told you, when you see a negative and a negative together like that, what happens? It turns into a plus sign. So you have 160 160 minus 80. That minus, a double negative makes a positive. There we go. So what would our answer be? 240. Okay, I've given you every possible possibility there, every possible outcome, so go ahead and try it on your own. We'll jump to question 9. The Healthy Delights Candy Company specializes in candy that is wholesome. Unfortunately, they have been losing money for several years. During the year 2006, they lost $12 million, ending the year with a total debt of $23 million. What was Healthy Delights' total debt at the beginning of 2006? Well, if they lost $12 million one year, and they ended up the year, that same year that they lost the 12 million, and they ended up with 23 million, what's the difference between 12 and 23? If you can find the difference between 12 and 23, that was the debt they already had. Go ahead and write your answer right there. And now we come to the math boxes. The math boxes, again, they're a review, and you should be able to do these on your own. Remember that for this section right over, let me see if I can zoom in, yep. This section right over here, you have to use PEMDAS. PEMDAS, don't forget, you can write it right up here so that you remember the order of operation. Oh, I lost my, there we go. PEMDAS. Remember that multiplication and division are interchangeable depending which one comes first from left to right, and same with addition and subtraction, whichever one comes first from left to right. At the bottom, right over here, you are trying to figure out or determine which fraction is greater than the other. Remember, a simple way to do this is to change the denominators to the same value, and whatever you do to the denominator to make it the same value, you must do to the top. So what do I have to do to the 4 to make it an 8? Multiply it by 2. So I get 8, and then what do you have to do to the 1? Multiply it by 2 as well, so you get 2. Well, which one's greater, 2 over 8 or 3 over 8? There's your first answer. Go ahead and do that to the rest of them. Then we have a word problem here. Remember, word problems are answered with words. And yep, the rest looks pretty easy. You've done this lots this year. Okay, boys and girls, this is the lesson for 7-9. If you have any questions, please post them or send me a quick email. Or, like lots of you have been doing, like Alexa, Zendi, Fauci, a lot of you have been calling me on Skype. And you know what? That makes me very happy because that's just a quick 2-minute call. And I explain it on the board. And it works out really, really well. So don't be shy to do that as well. All right, everyone. See you soon.